The Lakers have been absolute ass for a very, very long time. And we've been pointing fingers and labeling reasons of what the problem is and what the case is. And the truth is there is some, minor factors that go into this. But the real problem with this team is part of a bigger picture within the NBA. And I'm going to get into that in 1 second. Let's start this off with looking at the top teams in each conference. East, Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics. West, Phoenix Suns, Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors. What happened in the NBA is the end of the super team era. The end of the hero ball era, and let me explain why. Obviously, as you guys know, as fans of the league, the scoring of NBA players has gone up an insane, inhumane amount over the last 5-6 months. And this is causing a downfall in the super teams because of role players acting like superstars on a daily basis. You can't have a team constructed as 1 to 2 players give you 20 to 30 points every night and the rest give you 10 to 15, because that is just not what goes on in the NBA anymore. On most succeeding teams, you have one player that'll give you a guaranteed 20 to 30 a night, and you have 5 other players who can give you 20 to 30 a night, and that's the case in the NBA right now, and you can't change it. The Phoenix Suns. Let's look at the best team in the NBA and one of the best records in NBA history, the Phoenix Suns. You have Devin Booker, who will give you his 30 a night. You have a big man in DeAndre Ayton, who will give you his 15 to 20, 25 a night. And then you have Chris Paul, who's the point guard. And then you have these players where it's changed because they're not just role players. You can have any player on any given night come out and do something abnormal. Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Cam Payne, they've all had monster games this season. Even Landry Shamet can come out and give you something. So you can't just have a certified offense. It's not the way the NBA works anymore. The Memphis Grizzlies, they have a known record of something like 21-3 without Ja Morant. Obviously, you have Ja Morant who's giving you his 30 a night. The reason this team is so successful is because they have so many other players who can not only give you 20 to 30 a night, but can contribute on other aspects of the floor. Ja Morant, okay, you have Dylan Brooks, you have Jaren Jackson, you have Brandon Clark, you have D'Anthony Melton, who's been playing his lights off. I don't know what that means, but he's been averaging about 20 points per game over the last 10 to 15 games. And then you have Desmond Bane, who's been amazing. And then you have Kyle Anderson, who sometimes decides to just give you 20. Tyus Jones has been playing amazing. You have so many good players and so many players that can go out and do something abnormal for your team. And that's why the Grizzlies are so successful. Obviously, they rely on Ja a lot, but when Ja isn't playing, it's not the end of the world. Every successful NBA team this season has players they can rely on besides their number 1 and number 2 stars. The Nets are one of the last teams constructed as a full-built super team with 3 superstars. And obviously, they've had, their injury troubles, the whole James Harden thing. The reason I don't think this team is going to succeed is because the way they're constructed is just not how the NBA works anymore. You have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. We're going to not talk about Ben Simmons right now because he's not part of this season's plan. Going into this playoffs, you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. The ball is only ran through them. And you kick it to guys like Seth Curry and Patty Mills. And then you have your Goran Dragics of the world. But the way the offense is constructed, when those two aren't on, the team is not succeeding. And that's the reason we see them lose to teams like the Hornets. Because the Hornets have a array of people who can go out there and give you 30 a night. If you look at the statistics for that game, Kevin Durant had 27, Kyrie only had 16, he went terrible shooting. And then you have to rely on guys like Seth Curry, who gave you 12. You have Bruce Brown give you 10. Andre Drummond had himself a monster game on the glass. But the team is not operated through them. If you look at the Hornets, it's different. You have guys like Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, Kelly Oubre Jr. So when one of them is not going, it's not like a big setback to rely on another player because the team is ran through more than 2 players. Miles Bridges gave him 24. PJ Washington at 18 and 11. LaMelo had 33. Terry Rozier had 14. It's different. It's just not how it's not how the Nets are constructed. It's not how the Lakers are constructed. Now all this data and information brings me right back to my initial point about the Lakers. Our team is built for LeBron James. You take on Anthony Davis, who's obviously been out for the majority of the season, and you have LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. We don't have enough depth and enough players who can go get the job done to make this team a consistent team in the West. The whole old player strategy that we went for in last offseason was terrible, because at the end of the day, you need people who can go out there and get you buckets and score when you don't have to rely on your two best guys, because that's not how the NBA works anymore. Outside of LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis, I really believe we only have one player who we can actually go to and say, hey, get a bucket, and that player is Malik Monk. We suck with LeBron James on the court, and that's because our offense is only ran through him. So when he's not going, we don't have enough players on the team who can get the job done. Russell Westbrook can't get the job done by himself. LeBron James kicking to Russell Westbrook can't work. We don't have enough players on the team that can get the job done by themselves, and we can't rely on players outside of him to get the job done. And that's what's wrong. LeBron can go put up 38 and 15 every single night. That's cool. It won't work when we play against teams who have consistent depth and people who can get the job done. That's the reason. And obviously, teams have their 1-2 star players, but they have players that can get the job done outside of those two, and the Lakers simply don't, and we're the odd ones out. We have 4 people on the team that can get themselves a bucket whenever we need it, really. And that's not going to cut it, because every other team has so many players that can go out and get themselves a bucket. And that's not even it. The point is our offense is ran through just LeBron putting his shots up and getting buckets and kicking to people who can't shoot threes. So overall, I think that is the main reason. The NBA is evolving with all these scores. You see players like Sadiq Bey. Kelly Oubre giving you 40, 50 points a night. The list goes on and on of people who are just emerging as these scorers in the league. And it's just showing you how so many teams have so many players who can get the job done. And that's the reason why the Lakers don't. And obviously, there's little reasons. Frank Vogel might not be the best coach and all the defensive issues. But that's the reason the Lakers can get the job done. We are running our offense through one person, and it's not working. So that's all I really had to say for this video. Kind of a, spontaneous upload. I had to get my thoughts out. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this Saturday, and I'll see you guys soon, hopefully. I'm about to make a video on Chet Holmgren, so tell me what you think in the comments, or if you have another idea, because everybody's got different ideas. So talk to you guys later.